No stranger to assisting to those in need is tonight's speaker and our Congressman. Sanford Bishop really needs no introduction. He is serving in his 13th term in the United States House of Representatives, and he represents both Middle and Southwest Georgia. He serves on the House Committee on Appropriations and a number of other subcommittees. Prior to his service in the U.S. Congress, Congressman Bishop served in the state legislature and the United States Army. He is an Eagle Scout, a 33-degree Mason, and a Shriner. His awards and recognitions would stretch here from ASU's East Campus all the way to the West Campus. Tonight, we celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr., and our speaker was inspired by Dr. King from the moment he first met him when he was a freshman at Morehouse College. Congressman Bishop attributes that meeting to influence him to pursue a career in civil rights litigation. And Congressman Bishop was quoted as saying, "Because of him, I have tried to make a difference." And what a difference you have made. Like Dr. King, Congressman Bishop has been a lifelong public servant who has represented us here in Southwest Georgia. Welcome, Congressman Bishop, and thank you for all you do for us.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you very much, Ken. Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Ladies and gentlemen, we're gathered here tonight to celebrate the life of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. As Ken said, originally scheduled to have occurred just over a month ago. And unfortunately, because of the devastation of two uncontrollable acts of nature in our area that impacted the lives of our friends and our neighbors across this community in an overwhelmingly destructive way, the event was rescheduled for tonight. As Ken indicated, my prayers continue to go out to all who were affected, and my gratitude goes out to our local leaders, our mayor, our county commission chair, the governor, the emergency management personnel, all of the relief organizations, our churches, and all of the individuals who responded and continue to respond so overwhelmingly, and to extend their consolation and their relief to all those who have been affected. Regardless of the fact that we are more than 4 weeks past the normally scheduled celebration of the life of Dr. King, in view of what is going on in the world today, in Russia, in Europe, North Korea, the Middle East, and in various hotspots around the globe, in view of the turmoil, the protest, the growing unrest, the division, the hostility, the mistrust, the violence that is escalating all around our country, the chaos in Washington and the cities and the communities all across America, the America that we call for so long the land of the free and the home of the brave, where our Statue of Liberty still has the inscription, "Give me your tired, your poor, your masses yearning to be free." Actually, because we are in the midst of all of this chaos, we are caught up in this national and international commotion and fear, I believe there is no better time than today, right now, to call a timeout, if you will, to stop the clock, to pause, and to reflect on the life and to honor the life of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. In his life, he was considered to be a rabble-rouser, a troublemaker, an agitator. Yet, upon historical reflection, he brought honor to his city, his state, his nation, the world, and to the human race. Because in a world that was torn asunder by nation and race and class and caste and war and ill will, in a world where more money was spent on war and preparation of war than all other items combined, Martin Luther King demonstrated that nonviolence is an effective way to perfect social change. Not only did he espouse nonviolence with his lips, but he implemented it with his life. As proof of his belief in the doctrine of nonviolence, he carried evidence in his body of having been stabbed. He made his bed in jail some 29 times, and he lived under constant threat of harassment. And he paid the ultimate price, death, that we might have a better life and have it more abundantly. He believed that through nonviolence, the poisoning springs of race prejudice could be purified, and that the plant bed of discrimination could be exterminated. Gifted with the genius to articulate the hopes and aspirations of the masses in their quest for freedom, no man has done more than Martin Luther King to bring dignity to the common man. So we come here tonight to look back and to thank God that he passed this way. Some call it an accident. Others call it fate. Some call it the hand of man. Others, the hand of the divine. Which it is, I will not argue. But one fact is clear: something strange, something mysterious, something inexplicable, something almost miraculous happened. Because if Martin Luther King had accepted an offer to join the Morehouse College faculty when he graduated from Boston University, or if Rosa Parks had done what millions of blacks before her had done, gotten up and given that white man her seat on the bus, or if the people of the Montgomery Improvement Association had chosen another leader, or if the city fathers of Montgomery had acceded to the three simple demands of the blacks in Montgomery, all within the segregated pattern, the world may have never heard of Martin Luther King Jr. He may have lived and died just an eloquent Baptist preacher. If Martin Luther King had not preached nonviolence when his home was bombed, and the blacks in Montgomery were ready to shoot and to fight and to kill, one of the worst race riots in our country may have erupted. Some call it an accident. Others call it fate. Some call it the hand of man. Others the hand of God. Which it is, I will not argue, but history is replete with men who at a crucial moment in time stood taller than their fellows. Such was Abraham, leaving his country in obedience to God's call. Moses, leading his people out of bondage. Socrates, paving the way for free speech. Augustine, interpreting history at the fall of the Roman Empire. Paul, giving new dimension to the religion of Christ, without which Christianity may have died. Lincoln, saving the Union and freeing the slaves. Gandhi, lifting the untouchables to a place of respectability. Nehru, giving freedom to India. And Martin Luther King Jr., expounding with success the doctrine of nonviolence in a power-structured world. Some call it an accident. Others call it fate. Some call it the hand of man, others the hand of God. Which it is, I will not argue. But I ask you tonight, how could we honor this man? Awards? Well, he had over 300 or 400 of those in his lifetime, and today there are thousands of awards named in his honor. Maybe we could name streets or highways or schools after him. Already, thousands of buildings and highways and schools have been named in his honor. We might extol him as an advocate for peace in the world, but the King of Norway bestowed upon him the Nobel Peace Prize. We might build a memorial. We might declare a holiday, but most of the states and the Congress have done that. And as for a memorial, Congress and donors from all across the world have built a memorial on the National Mall, which is visited by thousands of visitors every week from all across the world. I say, Bishop, how should we honor this man? Glad you ask. Glad you ask. I believe that we should honor this man first by making sure that every man, woman, boy, and girl in this country knows and understands what he did. He employed nonviolence. He put himself on the line. He organized civil disobedience. He established peaceful resistance. He ignited a movement, and he united multitudes, all for the cause of justice. Yes, because of this man, in 1960, students in North Carolina and across the South started sitting in at lunch counters, at segregated lunch counters. They were actually standing up for justice. Because of this man, in 1961, blacks and whites started taking rides for freedom, riding for justice. In 1963, we read his letter from the Birmingham jail, which touched the conscience of our nation and brought about the 1964 Civil Rights Bill. And he told us at the March on Washington about a dream that he had. Because of this man, in 1964, in his quest for justice, the Civil Rights Bill was passed, outlawing discrimination in employment, in public accommodations, in housing, in interstate travel. He fought for justice, and because of this man, in 1965, John Lewis and thousands walked across the bridge in Selma with him, the Edmund Pettus Bridge, and brought about and caused the passage of the 1965 Voting Rights Act. Because of this man, his quest for justice for garbage workers in Memphis, Tennessee, their issue got raised and they had a chance to get justice while he gave his life. We must remember he was a drum major for justice. A drum major for justice. Bishop, how should we honor this man? Glad you asked. Glad you asked. We should honor this man by not just remembering what he did, but by imitating and practicing what he did. Yes, we are living in the era of Trump. And yes, we want to make America great. But like Dr. King, we must make America great by making America serve all her people. Not just the healthy and the wealthy, but the least and the lost. In the era of Trump, we still have too much poverty. We still have too much hunger. We still have too much sickness, too much hatred, too much fear, too much violence, too much injustice. We must organize. We must unify. We must speak up and stand up. We must take up the cause of justice today. We must join the movement for justice. We must insist on justice, economic justice, nutrition justice, healthcare justice, social justice, criminal justice, educational justice, election justice, justice. We must, like Dr. King, work and let justice run down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. Like Dr. King, we must live out the words of the song. If I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word of song, if I can show somebody is traveling wrong, then my living will not be in vain. If I can do my duty as a Christian ought, if I can bring salvation to a world that's wrought, if I can teach love's message as the Master taught, then my living will not be in vain. Some call it an accident. Others call it fate. Some call it the hand of man. Others the exigencies of the time. Others the hand of God. Which it is, I will not argue. But we can be thankful for the wisdom, for the prophecy, and for the life of Martin Luther King Jr. And we can honor this man if we go and do likewise.